Hello to all of the D D D D D D D Hello to all the D D D D D D D Ditas out there, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be answering the question, how would I judge RuPaul's Drag Race UK Series 6? Now, this was a phenomenal season of Drag Race, in my opinion. I had so much fun with this season of Drag Race, watching it, just being involved with it and analyzing why it was working so well. It was truly wonderful. And we're gonna go through the season and ask how I would judge it in this video. I'm sorry for the lack of videos lately. I've just been incredibly busy, and I've also not been well super often recently. Headaches. I got an MRI scheduled to figure those out. Is it something bad? Hope not. We'll see. And also, school finals and, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, everything. It's a lot. And so I'm trying my best, I swear. Even though I know I'm behind, and I also need to do the Dragula season 6 video, and by the time that video comes out, the Espana 4 finale will be out. Yeah, I'm behind, but I'm working on it, I swear. The rules to remember, as always, are the season has to be as long as season 6 originally was, which was 10 episodes, 9 competitive episodes in the finale, and the performances and challenges need to be based off of how well someone did or how people would predict they would do. So I'm not just going to put somebody in the top when they were originally in the bottom, or vice versa, unless there is strong fan support for that being the case. The goal, as always, is to act as if I'm the head judge and craft this season however I can imagine to make it as fun and eventful as possible, while also being fair with my judging of the season by combining my own personal taste and what was shown to us on the show. Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe if you end up enjoying yourself. I appreciate all the subscribers and the supporters and everything. In the near future, I would like to, start up something like a Discord server for the channel or whatever. And so, I appreciate the engagement and support, and I want to do more things for y'all. I would really appreciate the subscriptions, the likes, the comments, etc. Anyways, on to episode 1, which is going to be very anticlimactic, because I didn't change a single thing. I completely agree with the judging of this episode. In this episode, we had ourselves the, talent show slash cabaret show, and I think doing it as like a cabaret show was a fun way to kind of switch up the talent show format a little bit without, actually changing really much of anything. Because, by framing it as a cabaret, you kind of like lean it into more like cabaret style acts. Which, not everybody did one. I don't, they didn't have to do one. I don't think that was like a requirement. But people did lean more that way with this scenario and the way that it was set up. And I think that is fun. I appreciate that they did that. It felt correct. But yeah, I do think the judging of this episode was pretty correct overall. Kyron and Lavoie really started and closed the show super well, had super effective numbers. And then Octavia, Kiki, Lil, and Relisa all did super, super well in their performances. And since this is a 12-person cast, I do think it makes the most sense to split them 6 in the top, 6 safe. And there's really nobody from the safe tier that I would consider moving up to the top. So this was really easy judging for me this episode. The top 2 of Kyron Thrax and Lavoie are going to lip sync to Ooh La La by Goldfrapp. And Kyron definitely does better in this lip sync, giving more face, doing more things than Lavoie. Lavoie is just kind of like walking back and forth. Which, some songs that is a good way to go. But for this song, I think this song needed more camp and needed more funny. And Kyron really did provide that. So Kyron is going to win this challenge, and we're going to move on to episode 2. In episode 2, we had ourselves the design challenge, where they had to create these different houses and, present their garments in the different categories that they had. This episode, sadly, we do lose Sucky to an injury, which is so upsetting because, I mean, there's just never, literally half of standard UK seasons have someone leaving due to an injury. like or an illness. Seasons 2, 3, and 6, all somebody who was left due to injury or illness, and also fucking Miss Naomi Carter on season 5 did not leave due to injury, but had an injury that was, prominent in her storyline. It's like, damn, this really is just hard for like why do people keep getting injured? Obviously, this is nobody's fault. This one, Saki just like slipped in the shower, uh, and hurt her knee. Like there's no production thing that could have caused that. Everybody's got a shower, so this isn't production's fault in any way. But it is still upsetting to see that the curse just like continues here. Um, but the way that they originally judged this episode was that they had the winning group, uh, uh, which I think is correct, of the House of Zen, Lil, Chanel O'Connor, and Marmalade as the top three, and then they gave negative critiques to Zahira, Kiki, and Octavia. And we're like, you are the bottom, but there's nobody being eliminated, so it's the top three. You're not actually the bottom. And I don't really like the way that they did that. I think because Saki, uh, left before the critiques and everything, I don't think there should have even been a bottom. Like, I've done this before in previous episodes of Drag Race in previous seasons where, for example, Isis Couture quitting the competition before the challenge on Canada versus the World season 1. Like, if somebody leaves partway through the episode before, there's like an actual like need for like placements, like that automatically becomes a top 2 episode for me, or a top 3 episode in this case, because they should have been judged in teams. Um, and I also don't like what they did of the fact that they had the top judged in a single team, but they didn't judge the bottoms in a single team. Like Zahira and Octavia were on a team together, but Kiki wasn't on a team with them. Now, like I get it, Kiki had the worst outfit, debatably, of the night. I would say she had the worst for me. So like it's hard to be like Kiki's actually safe. It's hard to do that. But I do think this would have been so much better remedied if they just critiqued the top contestants of the week here, being the House of Zen, and then also Dita and Relisa, who were in a house together, who I think out of the other groups definitely had the best showing as a whole. Do I think it was like stellar? Honestly, not really. Like, I think it was perfectly fine. But I do think out of the other teams, I think Dita and Relisa did the best together on their concepts and everything. So I decided to put them as the high team and have everyone else as safe. So Lil, Chanel, and Marmalade are going to be lip syncing to Tension by Kylie Minogue, which, oh my god, yes, fucking amazing song. The lip sync songs this season fucking popped off. Literally, I shit you not. I knew every single lip sync song on the season prior to the season airing. Like there are times on Drag Race where I'm like, I don't know that fucking song. Like, what song is this? Literally every single lip sync song of the season I've known for an extended period of time. Or the one I've learned about recently, I think, was fucking Tension. Like that, which came out like recently. So you know what I mean. It's not like like these are all songs I'm like, okay, yeah, I like this song. This is a good song. This is a good lip sync song. Yada yada yada. The lip sync songs this season, just as a whole, were top fucking tier. So amazing. And I do think I do agree with the judges. Lil did the best in this lip sync. She had the most fun with it, which I think was the way to go here, because I think you can try and pull off sexy, but when Kylie, which I think for like the verses and stuff, like I get, but when Kylie's like the when you get to like the robot voice, you get the oh my god, touch me right there. Like you should go a bit campy with it. You should go a bit more funny with it. I do think that was the correct choice made by Lil. And so I do think the win feels most deserved for her in this scenario. So Lil is going to be the winner of this week's challenge, and we're going to move on to episode 3. In episode 3, we had ourselves the parody acting challenge where they had to, oh god, what was it? It was Dead Actually, or Hate Actually, and 40 funerals at a wedding, I think is what they were. But anyways, yeah, they had to act in these parodies of, popular like romantic comedies. And I kept the judging pretty similar to as it was originally. The only change I like actually made was I took Marmalade out of her high placement and gave it to Lavoie instead. I think Lavoie had a really good performance here and interacted very well with Kyron. Obviously, Kyron was like the standout of this challenge, being Hugh Grunt with all of these, reactions and sounds that they were making. But I do think Lavoie, while Kyron was like the scene stealer in those scenes, I think Lavoie worked really well with Kyron and fluctuating with them and kind of bringing about uh, a good result here. And again, Marmalade did a great job, but she didn't like stand out to me as much of a character as Lavoie did. Marmalade was like very clearly like, in the top half for me, but she just wasn't like, I just didn't see her in my top three. I thought Lavoie pretty solidly deserved that spot. But everything else I judged exactly the same. Kyron definitely did the best in this challenge, is the standout of this for me. Relisa, so funny as the little, like, I think it's Sammy, the little, like, creepy, demented child. So good. When I heard that role, I was like, oh, I want that role. And then Relisa was like, I want that role. I'm like, Relisa smart. That's a good role. That is a good role. It's a smaller role, which it's hit or miss because it's a smaller role, but it is also like a role that is going to grab attention. It is a role that you're almost never going to be safe for. You're either going to be in the top or the bottom, depending on how well you do with it. Because you're either going to be like the perfect level of like creepy, or you're not going to be it. And I think Relisa really hit that super well, and hit the comedy moment well. If I was in this challenge, I would have wanted to play the role of the creepy child. um, but yeah, everybody else who was originally safe is going to be safe. Octavia, Chanel, Charity, Lil, all going to be safe. And the bottoms are going to stay exactly the same. I think Zahira being low and Kiki and Dita being the bottom two is perfectly fair based off of their performances in the challenge. So, Kiki and Dita are going to be lip syncing to Girls on Film by Duran Duran. And oh my god, this lip sync by Kiki is so fucking phenomenal. It is, I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite Drag Race UK lip sync of all time, but it's up there. It's a top five for sure. It is such a good fucking performance. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I tend to actually really like it when drag queens do like when they act out the words, like the part where fucking Dre and they're saying "girls on film." She fucking holds up the one hand, holds up the other to make the camera, and just be like, "Girls on film, it's me, girls on film," and then like of the lens as she's falling, and then she starts falling. Like, I kind of like when drag performers do that generally. It's engaging to me. I'm like, oh, okay. I think it's engaging to me because I'm like, okay, they know the words. They know the words, they have the words locked in, they have a plan. They are a performer. I like that. And so I really like this performance from Kiki here. And sadly, Adita just didn't give it as much as she like needed to, I think, for this uh performance to like work out correctly. So sadly, Dita is going to leave here, and we're going to move on to episode 4. Episode 4, we had ourselves the Ghostly Girl Groups Challenge, which this was such a fun concept for girl groups. I love that they did this. It's a concept that makes sense. There is like, scary music, there's a fun theming to be had here that doesn't feel super like shoehorned or like or pigeonholed. I honestly was gonna say pigeonhorned, and I was like, wait a second, that's not the phrase. It doesn't feel like you're pigeonholing the contestants by making them like do lyrics about stuff that they don't really like care about. It's like, hey, just like do like let's do the girl groups, but make it a little spooky. And so I think this is very fun. And I kept the judging exactly the same. And yeah, that's good. I kept a lot of the judging this season the same or very similar to as it was originally, because I think the season was judged pretty damn fairly, which is also something I really appreciate. I love when a season is judged, I feel, in a way that is like fair. Obviously, there are like storylines that that the judges and the producers are wanting to continue. They see they see Kyron excelling at the very beginning of the season. They want Kyron to make it to the end no matter what. And they have Lavoie, somebody who was on Queen of the Universe, somebody who was like a big name that people, have wanted to see on Drag Race UK. Like they want Lavoie to go far. They want her to be a finalist. And like I know that in my head, but it's so nice when the contestants, they actually are good enough to do it themselves. They don't have to be pushed or favored in unreasonable ways or ways that we can very clearly see on our TV screens. Like, was there maybe favoritism moments for Kyron or Lavoie that I don't know about? Or things that happened, off screen that I don't know about? Maybe. But based off of what I saw on my television screens, this is gonna be a spoiler, but it's so very clearly obvious. If you watch the season, Kyron and LeVar are gonna be in the finale. Like, no shit, they both did amazing on this season. And so I think, I really love when a season is judged fairly, because I do feel like the judges care about the spirit of competition, which is really nice. But back to the episode at hand, Relisa murdered this verse. I was so into it when I heard it. Oh my god, it was so good. And Kyron and Kiki also did super well on this challenge too. I got no complaints from these two. They both did a phenomenal job here. The safes, I think, make complete sense. We got Octavia, Chara, Chanel, and Lavoie. They all did perfectly fine jobs, and made no like real mistakes in their performances, whereas the bottom three all did make some mistake, or you could tell had hesitation, which is a big factor, I would say. That was kind of the Marmalade's main factor, where I'm like, Marmalade. It seems Marmalade is scared shitless right now. Like she's doing everything, but she seems very uncomfy with it. And so, Marmalade being low, I do think makes sense, as well as Lil and Zahara being the bottom two. I do think it makes the most sense there. The lip sync is to Don't Call Me Up by Mabel, which is it's such a good song. And I think Lil captures the spirit of the song more for sure. Zahara in this lip sync did not give me enough in the face department for me to care. And if you watch my videos about like ranking lip syncs and stuff, you would know that the most important factor to me to lip sync is I need to feel like the words are coming out of your mouth. I need to feel like them from your lips to my heart. You know what I mean? And I definitely got that more from Lil than Zahira. Zahira, while doing some really good moves, I didn't believe her. Whereas Lil, even though she's just kind of, she's kind of like twerking in a circle, just kind of like grooving and vibing in a circle, I feel it. She's saying, "Don't call me up," and so Lil definitely won this lip sync for me. Even though I think some people might disagree with that, but Lil absolutely won this lip sync, which means sadly Zahira is gonna go home here, and we're gonna move on to episode 5. In episode 5, we had ourselves the Chatty Man Graham Norton challenge. And sorry to disappoint, I judged this episode exactly the same. I completely agree. I think the critiques were correct. This was a challenge. This is very similar to like it's kind of similar to like the Pink Table Talks or like the DragCon panels, where it's really just like it's a challenge on how well you present yourself in a setting like this, in a setting like at a talk or at a panel or on a show. It's a challenge on it's a comedy challenge, it's an improv challenge. It's also really just kind of like a presentation challenge of like how well are you able to present yourself? Do you have stories? Do you have things that you can show? What are your skills? What are your qualities? All these different things. And so I do think that the judging of this was completely correct. Lavoie had a wonderful story, and really, and commanded her space while not really, like, I don't think taking over the space. Lavoie did end up, I think, starting her group. Actually, I think started out of everybody, in terms of her, like, discussion, which I do think definitely helps her because, it's the first one in your mind. She does well, and it's also the first one in your mind. So you're like, oh, Lavoie did great. But I do still think she did a really good job on this challenge and deserved the win. Along with Lil and Marmalade being in the top, I do completely agree with those placements there. They both had good banter. Both, weren't like stepping on toes. Did a great job in this challenge. Charity sadly just did not give enough. She didn't sound confident enough in herself when she was speaking. Which, like you gotta be confident like in your topic when you're talking in situations like this. And she just wasn't giving it enough. Octavia and Kiki, you could tell they needed to work a bit more on their kind of improv abilities with this. And making sure that they knew what they wanted to say and were saying it in a way that they meant. I think this challenge was judged very, very fairly. So Octavia and Kiki are going to be lip syncing to Let's Dance by David Bowie, and this was the lip sync of the season. This lip sync was so fucking good. I had such a good time with this lip sync. Truly, truly, truly amazing from both of them. And honestly, I find it hard to call a winner of this lip sync. I don't know. Part of me feels like it's Octavia. Part of me feels like Kiki. I honestly am not entirely sure. Like, honestly, for me, this is one of those lip syncs where I think my answer on the winner could change on like any given day. I do think Octavia did a little better in the challenge, also had a better runway, and also a better track record. So I did decide to keep Octavia, which was what was done originally. It just makes more sense. That's what I decided to do today. But there's a chance that that could change. In the future, I might be like, on a future day, I might be like, yeah, Kiki should have stayed actually. But Kiki is going to be sent home here, and we're going to move on to episode 6. In episode 6, we had ourselves the Snatch game. And I decided to do something a little different. I sometimes will do this where I usually don't do it the other way around, where sometimes I will do 4 tops and 2 bottoms when I feel like the contestants did really well on an episode, and I decided to do that here. I pretty much never do the opposite. I don't think I've ever done the opposite where it's 2 tops and 4 bottoms. That doesn't feel right. 4 tops and 2 bottoms feels correct to me. In a handful of scenarios, this is one of them, where this Snatch game was a phenomenal Snatch game. I think everybody, besides the bottom 2, did like a decent to like at least a decent job to a stellar job. Like even Octavia, who was low originally, like I think Octavia did perfectly fine. She just happened to be the like 6th best out of the 8. But I think she did good enough that a low placement doesn't feel deserved, particularly for me. I honestly feel like it's more deserved for somebody else to be in the top than for Octavia to be low here. So I decided to do that. Um, Originally, this was a double win between Lavoie and Kyra and Thrax, but I decided to just give the win to Lavoie. I do think Lavoie did a bit better, had me more engaged overall than Kyron's character. And I think I really I think I think a good Liza on Snatch Game is always gonna fucking excel, is always gonna kind of win me over. A good Liza is everything, and I think Laval really did it. I think she she just did it for me. She gave me what I needed. Originally, Kyron Thrax and Charity were high. They're both still, or well, Kyron was the winner, but Kyron's still in the top, and Charity's still high. But now we have Lil in the top because Lil totally deserved a top placement in this challenge. One of the most iconic runways of all time. In the UK, I don't know, maybe of all time, maybe across all franchises, but at least definitely in the UK, one of the most iconic runways. So fucking creative and crazy. I love it. And Lil also did a really good job in the Snatch game. I would say like debatably my like 3rd or 4th favorite job in Snatch game. And so Lil absolutely deserved a top placement here. I don't understand why she didn't get one. Marmalade is going to stay safe. Octavia is going to move up to a safe. And the bottom two are going to stay exactly the same between Releasa and Chanel O'Connor. I do think this bottom two is completely deserved. So they're going to be lip syncing to something kind of Ooh by Girls Aloud, which, oh my god, great song. I wish they weren't in these outfits. I wish the contestants happened to be more dancier outfits doing this song, because I think like, Kiki and Octavia could have given a fucking fierce performance to something kind of Ooh. But Releasa's still in this kind of like, kind of hellish. I don't know why hellish angel was the phrasing my brain decided to use, but honestly, that's correct. It's like hellish angel demonic getup was so great in this lip sync, so captivating. I think I think it's really because she leaned fully into her outfit. She didn't try to be this like fierce diva while wearing this, this like, you know, bony kind of angel, outfit. That dichotomy, it could have worked, but I don't know if it necessarily would have worked. Her choosing to lean into her outfit and play that as the lip sync, I think was the correct way to go about it. And she really turned it for me. So sadly, Chanel O'Connor is going to be eliminated here, and we're going to move on to episode 7. Episode 7, we do have a bit of a shakeup here. Episode 7, we had the rusical, and this was a wonderful rusical. I had such a fun time watching this rusical. Originally, there were 4 tops. Lavoie was the winner of the challenge, and Kyron, Marmalade, and Releasa were all high. I decided to switch that up just a little bit. I thought Marmalade did the best in this challenge. The Elton John was so, 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 so good. Oh my god, I loved it. And I think that was the performance that really stuck with me throughout the musical. Lavoie also went early on in this musical, and by the time we had kind of gotten to like the Elton and back to the end of the musical, I wasn't struggling to remember what Lavoie did, but Lavoie's wasn't the first thing on the front of my brain. It was Marmalades. Marmalades was the number one thing happening in my brain, was the Elton John. I loved it. So I think Marmalade deserved the win here. And originally with Releasa was high, I decided to move her down to a safe, which I'm not sure if that's correct, but I do think it is. I did it, so obviously I think it's correct. But that's one of those decisions where I'm like, I'm not sure. That this might also depend on the day for me. But I decided to put her as a safe because looking at this challenge, like even though there were 4 tops originally, when I finished watching it and looking at everything and the runways and just all that happened, I was like, oh, well, okay. The release is clearly my 4th. Like, she still did great, but she's clearly my 4th out of the 7. And so I felt like, giving her the safe, felt more fair to me because, like, she's clearly my 4th. I wasn't struggling on who to put in the top. If I was like, oh my god, Releasa or Kyron, who do I choose? I probably would just gave them both high placements, but I didn't really feel that. I felt like she was clearly my 4th. So I decided to just give her the safe here. But the bottom placements are going to stay exactly the same. Charity is going to be low, and Lil and Octavia are going to be the bottom 2. They just did not serve well enough with their divas that they chose. I was so happy Kylie Minogue was there because I fucking love Kylie Minogue. Kylie has been my top listened to artist on Spotify the past 2 years in a row. And the Spotify wrap for 2024, it will be out, I believe, by the time that this video comes out. So I'll post it. I'll put on screen what my wrapped is, or just like what placement she is on screen right now, because I definitely know she's going to be placed up there for sure. So I fucking love Kylie, and I wish that we had gotten more justice for Kylie. But sadly, that wasn't the case. But I'll live with it. It's fine. Um, Lil and Octavia are going to lip sync to Time Warp from Rocky Horror. And oh my god, this is such a good lip sync song. Why have they not done this sooner? Rocky Horror is just. Can they do a Rocky Horror inspired fucking musical, please? That's all I want. That's all I want. It would be so fucking phenomenal. I guess they kind of have done one, haven't they? That season, All Stars like 9 musical was kind of Rocky Horror-ish in a way, but it wasn't actually, I don't think. I forget what inspiration that they were going for, but I think it gave Rocky Horror. Maybe it was Rocky Horror inspired. Whatever. I want more Rocky Horror references on Drag Race. Please, can we get that, please? But yeah, Lil is gonna stay here, um, due to a better track record, partially also due to the fact that, she kind of gave this camp vibe that the song deserves. Like, again, where Octavia's moves like better here, I would say yeah. But Lil fit the vibe. Lil was like, oh, Lil's doing the time warp. Whereas I'm like, Octavia's lip syncing to time warp. You know what I mean? And so I do think Lil deserves to stay here. So sadly, Octavia's gonna go. We're gonna move on to episode 8. All right, in episode 8, we had ourselves the makeover challenge, which I judged pretty similarly to how it was judged originally. Originally, everybody who wasn't on the bottom 2 is in the top here for this challenge, but I decided against that. I do think Marmalade still deserves the win. Marmalade's looks were amazing, phenomenal, really loved them. I really enjoyed Marmalade's looks here. But looking at the other people who were not in the bottom, Lil, Lavoie, and Kyron's looks, looking at them, I was like, okay, well, I definitely like Kyron's more than Lavoie's and Lil's. Not to say that Lavoie and Lil did bad; they did perfectly good in this challenge. I think they're perfectly safe here. But like looking at the looks, even though they are like, people have been critiquing them for being like trash cans and just kind of like these kind of like they kind of like hiding the shape, whatever. I get it, but like I like them. I like them. I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna. I'm not. Will I allow criticism in the comments about it? Sure. Will I hear it? No. um. Yeah, I just like those looks. So Kyron is clearly my high for this challenge, and Lil and Lavoie were safe. And the bottom 2 of Lisa and Charity feels correct to me. Um, I don't think either of them did like particularly bad in the challenge by any means, but I do think based off of the 6 looks that we had here, they did deserve the bottom 2. I honestly wish this could have been like a non-elim episode, because this episode was just so like this is the most heartwarming, lovely episode of television. It was just great to see them make over their family members, their partners. It's so fucking wonderful to see. It's so nice. And if there was a time in this season to make this a non-elimination episode, ooh boy, I absolutely would have. Oh my God. I would have. Yes, absolutely. But it does make the most sense to do an elimination here. So Relisa and Chara are going to lip sync to Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, which, oh my God, I'm so happy they did this as a lip sync song. It's just a great song, first off. People clown on it because, like, Rick rolling or whatever, but it's a great fucking song. I don't know why I said it like that. I literally have I have a bumper sticker on my car of the QR code for this music video on YouTube. So whenever somebody wants to scan that QR code on the back of my car, they're getting rickrolled. But like, I honestly think it's a really good song, and I'm happy they did it on Drag Race. I'm happy that so many songs by men were done on this season of Drag Race. I tracked it earlier. I think exactly half of the songs on the season were primarily sung by men. Let's see, we got the finale lip sync, which we'll get to later, of Don't Stop Me Now. We have Never Gonna Give You Up. We have Time Warp. We have Let's Dance. We have Girls on Film. That's 5. Yeah, it's half. Half of them were sung by men, which I really appreciate. I like having good variety in terms of where the lip sync songs are being sourced from, depending on the genre and the people who are singing and all these different types of things. I really, really like that we had this variety this season of that. And I hope we continue to have more variety just in Drag Race, like as a whole. Obviously, even though these are all sung by men, which is like nice, and there's it isn't just like, like pop girl songs, Like I love a pop girl song, but it doesn't have to be pop girl songs. But even though I just said my point of, it's nice that they're all sung by men, It's all, like, British bands and artists from, like, the '80s, which, like, is fine. I wish we had a bit more variety than that, I should point that out before I move any further. But Relisa, did do better in lip sync than Charity for sure. Honestly, for sure is honestly very harsh. I do think she did better. Like, that's not a doubt in my mind, but it was actually pretty close in terms of the quality of the lip sync. But Release It does have a better track record up to this point, so regardless, I do think it makes most sense to send Chara home here. We're going to move on to episode 9. In episode 9, we have the roast, which I judged pretty much exactly the same as it was judged originally. The only difference is, according to the Drag Race Wiki and other sources covering Drag Race and track records and stuff, Lavoie is listed as the winner, and then Marmalade and Kyron are listed as safe. I think Marmalade should have been high. Based off the critiques, I do think Marmalade certainly got better critiques than Kyron just in the episode, and also Marmalade just did better in the roast. I think Marmalade. I don't think her roasts were that harsh. Honestly, I think everyone should go as hard as Marmalade did. I think it's funnier that way. I love when they just go for it and dig in. But Lavoie definitely had the most comprehensive set. Every joke was a fucking slammer. The whole saga with Sakiyu was truly, I mean, it was hit after hit. I was not expecting the towel that said like soap, or well, it was a bath mat. The bath mat that said "so pay away" on it. I was like, oh my fucking god. This she's prepared so fucking much for this, and she killed it. So Lavoie definitely deserved the win, but I do think Marmalade should be given a high placement here, with Kyron as safe and Relisa and Lil as the bottom two. I think that is the most correct way that this episode would be judged for me. So Relisa and Lil are going to be lip syncing to Crazy What Love Can Do uh, by Becky Hill and Ella Henderson, and Relisa did better in this lip sync. That's not I don't have any doubt in that, you know? Sadly, Lil's outfit was not the best in terms of allowing her like free movement around the stage and everything, and so I do think that it makes most sense here to continue to give the win to Relisa and cut a little right before the finale. And we're going to be entering our finale with the exact same people, just with our wins and our placements swapped around just a little bit. In this finale, they have to, they have to write verses, record, perform the song, a different winner's story, and, do like a Eleganza runway and stuff. Very standard Drag Race finale fare. And I decided to do the same top two as I did originally. I don't think anybody did particularly like nobody's performance in this finale was such a highlight or such a low point in a way that I think it matters in terms of determining like who the top two would be. So, like if I had to choose a top two, I would probably choose Kyron and Lavoie. But I think with this top four, I think everybody should just be allowed to do the final lip sync overall. And you can just do like the individual on stage performances of the song. I think that's the best way to go about this Final Four. Because even though I think they've all showed great things on this season, I feel like they all kind of deserve to be there. And so that is the way that I would do it, is I would just do like the individual performances to Don't Stop Me Now. And then crown whoever we think should be the winner. And I'm going to say Kyron Thrax. A lot of people at the end of the season kind of turned on Kyron and were like, no, it should be Lavoie. But I found that annoying. Because I've been Team Kyron since like day one. I kind of wanted Kyron to win. Kyron was giving me a vibe of a winner, of somebody who, whose art is undefined and is not influenced by other people's art necessarily in a way that consumes their art, is always going to do what they want to do and is going to be silly, fun, camp. And is and edgy, and is a different thing for Drag Race UK as well. We haven't really had a winner with this much outward edge to them. Like obviously Kyra is still she does comedy, but she's also like a really fierce performer, and is also does these different you know alternative kind of looks, and so this is something different for the Drag Race UK winner circle. And I think that this is correct. I think this is what was needed. A winner like Kyron here. And looking at the track records of the finale, I think Kyron's literally like barely any points behind uh, Lavoie. I think literally the only difference actually in the track records is Kyron has a safe placement where Lavoie has like a top two. And that's like, or wait, no, has a or something like that. It's something like that. Like it's literally like it's such a little difference. I'll show you. Here are the track records for the season. Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you change one of Kyron's safe placements to a top two, they have the exact same PPE score. Lavoie has a 4.05, which is a very fun score. But again, Kyron's like literally right under 3.88. So that's the fact that Lavoie had a better track record was not going to disqualify uh, Kyron of the win for me this season. But yeah, here are the track records for this season here. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below. As always, I will leave my Twitter handle linked down below if you want to go follow me on there. Also, if you want to follow me on Blue Sky, I haven't really been using it that much, but I want to use it more. So follow me on there too. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.